Assisted living facility Augusta is closing. The Maine Department of Health and Human Services says it was notified by Capital City Manor on Thursday morning it planned to close. The facility on State Street in Augusta is a 29-bed residential care facility. It's run by DLTC Healthcare and Bella Point. As of yesterday morning, 17 people were living there. The state did not provide a reason for the voluntary closure. In the last decade, more than 24 nursing homes or long-term care facilities have closed in Maine. Earlier this year, the Maine Healthcare Association introduced the Who Will Care Coalition.